When someone tagged me in the story I'm about to bring to y'all right now, it just let me know that we have allowed these damn culture vultures to come into our space for far and nest for far too long, that they've gotten too comfortable that they start to say the dumb stuff that they say. Now, in this image, I have three individuals. Two of them you are very familiar with. The first one at the top, of course, being Brother Malcolm X. Down in the lower right corner is Nipsey Hussle. And on the left is China Mac. Now, this is a self-proclaimed Asian rapper, and I think he's out of New York. Now, the last time we had to talk about a damn culture vulture coming out of New York, he had rainbow-colored hair, and he was basically being a snitch. I don't have to mention his name; y'all already know who I'm talking about. But the reason why I'm talking, sorry about that. Now, the reason why I'm bringing him up is because the article that was sent to me is basically him saying how Nipsey Hussle's death was more prolific or more profound, more powerful than that of Malcolm X's. Mind you, this is an Asian person who's saying this. This is not a white person. This is not another black person. It's not a Hispanic, Latino, Asian, not Asian, Native, Arab, whoever saying this. This is an Asian person saying this. That Nipsey Hussle's death was more powerful and profound and prolific than Malcolm X's. Basically, him shitting on Malcolm X's legacy. I said, we're not going to do that. What he's trying to do is try to create a divide. Now, I read through the article. I'm going to read it for you. But I wanted to really go read through it because I wanted to go to the comments to see what people were saying. And they pretty much all agree with me. First off, we don't care what your opinion of this whole situation is. The fact that he even said that lets you know he doesn't know much about Malcolm X at all. I don't know if he's read anything that he's wrote. I don't know if he's even watched his film that with Denzel Washington starring as Malcolm X. For him to make such a wild assessment like this. And this is not a dig at Nipsey Hussle. Both of these men left a legacy to the point where I want them to continue to be talked about for years to come. And to China WACK, as I'm going to call him now, Nipsey Hussle took a lot of ideologies from many black men, Malcolm X being one of them. As a matter of fact, Nipsey Hussle wore a gold-plated chain around his neck that had Malcolm's face on it. So that lets you know who influenced him. So for him to come out of his mouth and say something like this is retarded. And it was uncalled for and not needed. Now let me go ahead and read this article for you. The chaos surrounding the vicious murder of Nipsey Hussle is beginning to subside as mourners continue to grieve and celebrate the life and legacy of the rapper. Brooklyn-born rapper and former gang member China WACK rocked him prolific pullover as he sat down with Vlad TV. Now he's telling all of this to Vlad TV, another culture vulture, to discuss Nipsey's death and the impact it's had on hip hop and pop culture. There's no mistaking that Nipsey has gone from an independent rap star to a household name, but unfortunately it was his death that made millions aware of who he was as a businessman, philanthropist, and community leader. According to China Mac WACK, Nipsey's death is one of the most significant moments in history. It has reverberated globally and brought people into a higher vibration. That's crazy, he says of the Staples Center maxing out tickets for Nipsey's funeral. Because of that, I say his death was more powerful than, say, Malcolm X. Now notice it says in his quote, than say Malcolm X, which means he was trying to come up with an example, and Malcolm X was the first person that came to his mind. It was more profound because you just look at when Malcolm X died, it wasn't really much. A lot of people was hurt, a lot of people loved Malcolm, but it wasn't. When Nipsey died, he's selling out the stadium. Hold on. So you mean to tell me that because Malcolm X did not sell out a stadium at his funeral, that mean Nipsey Hussle was more prolific and more profound? That's the best he could have came up with. That's one part. It goes on to say that you got the ex-president saying something. You have gangs unifying. You got people all over the world traveling to the place where he got murdered at to show love. Malcolm X has been deceased for over 50 years, and people still hold him in high regards. The reason why he's not held even higher than what he should be is because the powers that be despised him. He's not held in the same regard as Martin Luther King because they did not like his approach. And he's not getting that. So let me get this. Because the former president Barack Obama wrote a letter because he sold out tickets at a stadium for his funeral, and he's unifying gangs. He's got people all over the world talking about him. That's what makes him more profound. Notice that he did not mention anything about Malcolm's message, which again, it was which again Nipsey was influenced by to do what he did. Because if he doesn't remember, Malcolm X used to be in, I guess you could say, a part before he became Malcolm, he engaged in what would be considered gang-like activity or uh, mild violence. But he wouldn't know that because you can tell by the way he said this, he doesn't know much about Malcolm. He just threw Malcolm out there because that was a figure that black people hold up in high regards, and he felt the need to try to compare and contrast. But that's what he did. He tried to make it seem like Nipsey was somehow better. And I'm not saying this that he was or if he wasn't. I appreciate what both men have brought to the table. Granted, I didn't know much about Nipsey outside of his music until a couple months ago when I found out that he was really engaged in more real estate and business and entrepreneurship type endeavors. And that was a good month and a half before he died, or before not died, but before he was murdered. So China WACK can miss me with that. He really tried it with that selling out of the stadium though. He really did. He says, I just feel like Nipsey's death, I just feel like it's powerful and it's great for our generation to see something like that, he said. Because the last person to have that type of effect was a Malcolm or a Martin Luther King Jr. And that was a long time ago. So for somebody to stand for something positive and stand for the community and to have this happen, he expressed as his thoughts trailed off. Like I said, I feel like it's a sad thing. Notice he keeps saying he feels, he feels, he feels, he feels. He keeps on feeling, which is a low tier trait for a man to have, is say, I feel a lot or I believe a lot. He said nobody wants to see anybody go. It's always sad when it happens like that, but at the same time, I feel, there it goes again. I wish I can get $1 for every time he said I feel. Like that, it was powerful. I feel like he's the type of person that if he could choose, if he could make a decision to end like this, but you make this type of impact and you make this type of movement, or you just don't do nothing and you end like this. You live a longer life and whatever. I don't know him, but I would think he would make the choice like, all right, I'm gonna go like this, like a martyr. China WACK goes on to say that now Nipsey's message is loud and clear and will continue to have a lasting impact on communities and fans worldwide. Do you know how hard it was for me to read that? And those were his quotes. A lot of the stuff he was saying was just broken up into whatever. But the sheer disrespect. That's like me going on an interview and saying that when Jackie Chan dies, his legacy will be more profound than Bruce Lee. Like that's like comparing apples to oranges. Like I could never do that. First off, number one, I would not even dare step into that territory because as a black man, I wouldn't want to do that. Period. And mind you, like I said, this is an Asian guy trying to pit two black men who have powerful legacies against each other and throwing it onto us as if we have to choose. And like I said, I know he's saying that he feels and he feels and he feels like this is his opinion. I'm glad that it is his opinion, because this could not be factual. It just could not be. Or me saying that uh, that Jet Li is better than Bruce Lee or something like that. That would be silly of me to say, because I know who inspired who kicked it all off. But that this whole thing was dumb. Like I said, I appreciate what Malcolm has done. He still is, like I said, held in high regards to this day. Nipsey is going to be in the same boat. It's unfortunate that he, could not get as far as he wanted to, because he had a lot of endeavors in which he was going to uh, accomplish many things. And it's crazy because Malcolm and Nipsey were around pretty much maybe around the same age, or in the same age bracket, or in their prime, in their peak of when things were really starting to pop off for them. And then they got taken out too soon. It's unfortunate. But for this China WACK to come up there and say, oh, Nipsey Hussle death was more powerful, excuse me? You're not going to do that. That's not happening. I cannot stand by and let that happen. I cannot stand when outsiders have the need, or feel like they have I'm trying to think of the word, whatever, where they think that they can just come in and say stuff like this, as silly as it is. China WACK was way off for this one. But then again, when you have culture vultures, a lot of them are just off, period. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments, and I'll talk to you in the next one.